from the EPAWA headquarters in South Allentown, Pennsylvania, it's time for Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The following segment is a weekly video blog, and the opinions of the forecaster do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff of Eastern PA Weather Authority LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrich with Weather Weeklies.
And good Sunday morning to you. Another edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, November 22nd. If you did hear that the opening recording there that actually talks about what this is a video, weekly video blog, but it is also an editorial. And I wanted to point that out because this is definitely my opinions here, more so than representation of that of our constituents or Eastern PA Weather Authority as a whole. Even though I am the owner of the franchise, there's still other meteorologists that may or may not agree with what I have to say. But the reason I'm bringing up that is just because not so much whether anybody agrees with me or not here at Eastern PA Weather Authority, but because I very rarely get very animated in these discussions. This is again, it's an opinion or an editorial in video format here. But I have to just talk about something starting off here that really is starting to tick me off, and that is the mainstream media. Okay, now here is the Climate Prediction Center. This was their forecast that they put out for the temperature outlook for December December through February, December, January, February, and had the entire northern tier of the country, including our area, above normal temperatures, below normal on the Gulf states here. Now this here is, if I was going to draw what an El Nino was, a typical El Nino, this is it. Okay, they did not account for any changes. They did not account for position of sea surface temperatures along the equatorial Eastern Pacific. They did not change anything. This is exactly what a typical El Nino is if you get warming in the eastern basins. Well, we don't have warming in the eastern basins. So when the media sees something like this from the National Weather Service, okay, they've been continually running with this, and then now this week we've reached record high numbers in the El Nino, and I'll show you that here in a second. But this is what the National Weather Service has: the percent chance or probability that we're warmer than normal for a 3-month period between December through February. They have anywhere between 33 and 60% the chances, higher even north, okay? 33 and 60% chance that temperatures are above normal. That's a pretty high chance. And we're saying no, we're saying the opposite. Now, December might start off slightly above. I'll give them that. But January, no. February, not even close in our estimation. Anyway, the media seems to be running this idea of 1997, and they keep comparing to 1997. Okay, and the reason they're doing that is because if you look at the Nino region SST departures, this is the measure of the sea surface temperatures in the equatorial Eastern Pacific. All right, so if you actually can outline this area down here, you can see the Nino. When we talk about different regions, this is the Nino 4 region here between 150 west and 165 east. That's in the east. There's the international date line running right through here. Here's the international date line. So Nino 4 covers that area here. Nino 3 is anywhere between 90 and 150 degrees west along the Eastern Pacific equatorial region. Everything east of 90, right along the coast of Peru here in South America, is Nino 1 and 2. Okay, for us to get the most important region we need to pay attention to, for us to get a cold and snowy winter, is this one right here. That's right in the middle. It kind of overlaps Nino 3 and part of Nino 4. For our area, this is the one that's the most important, especially the western half of this. Nino 4 is also kind of important with this whole situation. If the best warming of the sea surface temperatures are right in this area, you're going to have a good winter. Well, how do we know that? Well, we look back in past years, analog years, and not just ones that match up, but just look at ones that were warm in this region. The greatest warming was here. You had a good winter, every single one of them. Okay, that's just the way it is. Okay, so our best warming areas right now. Now we see Nino 4 is continuing to rise. That's out here. Okay, currently 1.7 degrees Celsius above normal, what's considered to be normal for the sea surface temperatures out there in that region. The areas right in the middle, 3.4 and Nino 3, are both plus 3 Celsius. This is a record. The old record was in 1997, where we reached plus 2.8. Okay, so we're now at plus 3.0 in these areas here, which is incredibly high. All right, this is temperatures departure, sea surface temperatures departures from normal, what's considered to be normal. That's very high. You're talking about now about 5.5 degrees Fahrenheit when you convert this. All right, so that's a pretty decent. That's you see what happened here. Here's your Nino regions here. Nino 3.4 was kind of hanging around here close to normal, and then it just kept rising and rising and rising and rising and rising. All right, same thing throughout Nino 3, kept rising and same deal. Very warm. Now, one thing that is important here to note is Nino 1 and 2. Nino 1 and 2 was warming for a while, then it started declining, and it's continuing to decline. That's good if you want cold and snow. This area here needs to be declining, or if you want to have cold and snow. Well, what I'm getting tired of is the media running with this whole comparison to 1997. There is no comparison to 1997. 1997, 1998, if you look back, we've talked about this in previous videos also, did not have much snow over our area here. Actually, there's next to nothing over the entire area. And that's because this area of greatest warming along the eastern Pacific equatorial region was majority of it close to South America. Well, that's going to bring warm air into the eastern United States if it's in this position. Now here, if you look at this year, it's spread out from 170 degrees west, this is the greatest warming, 170 degrees west, and about right about 120. Okay, now it might go a little bit further east than that, and that's fine. That's not the big deal. The majority of this is to the west of 120 degrees west, which is what you want. All right, so now you're talking about the 120 west. This is actually the beginning of 3.4, and if everything's west of 3.4. And the greatest warming here is in this area here, your heights are getting thrown at the western ridge. Okay, if you have a western ridge, you're going to have a trough in the east. Trough is cold. Okay, so that's the whole idea. I mean, it's a very basic, generalized idea, but that's the idea. Okay, so the further west that the greatest warming is occurring, and I'll zoom in on this now and show you where that is. Okay. Here's your Nino 3.4 region. You see a vast area here is in 3.4. Nino 3 also still hanging on here a little bit. All right, although it is declining out here in the eastern portions of Nino 3. It is noticeably declining. And Nino 1 and 2 is continuing to decline. Nino 4 has been staying about the same. But you see it actually extends into, Nino 4 starts at 150 west. So all this here, this is all the greatest warmings here in these grays. All this here is in Nino 4, so we're getting some of that into Nino 4 too. That's why Nino 4 is going up. So the further west this is, between 3.4 and maybe eastern portions of Nino 4, all through heights of the western ridge, because your tropical convection, your thunderstorms are going to form right along this area here, right along this boundary. This is where the highest temperatures are going to, just like when you have a hurricane, you need 80-degree water or warmer in order to fuel a hurricane. You get really warm waters like we had here with what was the name of that one, Patricia, that came into Mexico. It kind of came from down here and kind of blew up overnight and just slammed into the Mexican coastline. Had 200-mile-an-hour winds. Well, why that happened is because we had some extremely warm sea surface temperatures here, about plus 30 Celsius. All right, that's extremely warm water. That's bath water. All right, so this hurricane was able to just blow up overnight and go from a tropical storm to a 200-mile-per-hour monster, one of the strongest recorded, because of such strong water. Same concept works with here. If you have very warm water here, your convection or your thunderstorms are going to be fueled better by those areas of greatest warming. So your thunderstorms are going to be in this area. Well, if your thunderstorms are in this area, this is the ideal area for thunderstorms to form so that you do have heights thrown at the western ridge. And then, of course, you have a ridge out here. You have your trough in the east, and here's your cold here. Not good for the west coast. They're going to be warm. Not your problem here if you live here and you want snow. All right, now we're only looking at November 22nd here. So I know we're starting to get into that time where we can realistically look at threats of snow on the horizons or the models and say, oh, well, that's a credible threat because it's that time of year. It is that time of year. But realistically, you got to remember, we are still a month away, calendar month away from the start of winter officially. Doesn't mean we can't get snow before then. I think we do have shots. Okay, but yeah, a lot of people are getting impatient here. I have to keep reminding them it's only November 22nd. So relax. Okay, we have time for that. Here is the current sea surface temperature anomalies. Here's what we were looking at last week. Now, I didn't have this drawn correctly. I know what happened here, but Nino 3.4 actually stops right here. It doesn't extend all the way out here. So here is last week, okay? And your greatest warming, and then you go to this week and take a look at that one. Let's go to this week. Again, you see some more bleeding into Nino 4 here. That was really the only difference I see going to next week here. Nino 1 and 2 still declining here, and then this area here is still transporting itself to the west here with the greatest warming. Okay, now why is that important? We look at analogs, go back into time, and say, well, okay, well, when did this happen again? When did this happen before? This is November 2002. Very similar here. See how it's a very elongated all the way across in this whole area here? Areas of greatest warming. We had a really good winter that year. Okay? Very good winter. And we also had a warm November, temperature-wise here in the United States. You had your positive PDO. I'm really liking 2002 here. I know we have 1997, 1990, or 1957, 1958 to look at. I'm really liking 2002 lately. 2002, maybe even a little bit of 2009 in there. All right. Warm water along the eastern coast. That's happening. You have the cold pool south of Greenland. That's currently going on. Okay? I'm just saying what's going on currently and trying to match it up. And this very elongated area of greatest warming here in the Pacific is very similar to 2002 to what we have this year, which is this. Very elongated and starting to get into the central regions, going all the way out to almost the date line. Here's your warm water here. Here's your warm PDO. So we have all the same things we had in 2002, folks. 2002 was a busy winter. Wasn't a record breaker, but it was definitely a very busy winter. And off the top of my head, I don't have the numbers for every location, but I know for a fact, since I live in Allentown, we're headquartered in Allentown. Allentown's normal snow in a winter is 32.9. That year we had 54.9 inches. Okay, so almost 2 feet higher than normal. That's a pretty good winter. It's not a record breaker, but it's definitely a good winter. All right, so I just want to get that. If you hear these things with regard to, oh well, this is just like 1997. And we're actually stronger than 1997. That was such a warm winter. We're not going to get any kind of winter at all. And I'm getting tired of hearing it because they have no clue what they're talking about. It's not about how strong it is. I don't care. Listen, the temperatures here in 1997 were plus 2.8 and we were at plus 3 in Nino 3 and 3.4. I don't care if they get to plus 4, plus 5. I mean, that's not going to happen. But just for argument's sake. I don't care how warm they get. It's all about placement. If they're in the eastern basins, you're going to get the warmth in the United States. It's just simple physics, folks. Simple physics. And right now, the greatest warming is elongated along the equator and more centralized. That's good for snow in the winter. It doesn't get any more simple. I mean, you got these other factors here. That's great. But your most important driver is going to be the climate, and that's going to be your ENSO and El Nino. And when we look at and match this up to the years past, and we know what happened in 2002. It was a warm November, just like it is this year, and temperatures were near to slightly above normal. So, and the sea surface temperatures matched up almost perfectly. So why would we sit here and think that this would not be something? Well, why would you not take this one into consideration? And it was pretty warm. Not record, but it doesn't have to be. How high it gets really has no bearing on anything. All right, let's get off of that because I really don't want to go off on spend way too much time on that. Just want to spend time on the long range to close out the video here. And the below normal temperatures we're expecting to go through the 24th. So that's actually we're talking about through Tuesday. When we start getting near, or maybe just start off near normal here on Wednesday, then go to slightly above average after that, probably through the 29th or so. We might have to back this up a little bit. Might have to go to about the 28th instead. It's going to be awfully close because we're going to go back to below average after that point, and then we're going to kind of be teetering between slightly below, slightly above, slightly below. So when you're getting into a zonal pattern, which is a very fast west-east flow, it's very difficult to get big amplifications to jet stream. But with certain things going on right now that we're seeing, like the SOI dropping and things like that, we should allow for more amplification downwind and downstream. So we're going to watch some signals here, and especially in this week here, the 8th to the 14th. We're going to watch something right around the 1st or 2nd of December. I'm not a lot of high confidence in that one at all. Well, actually, we didn't even list this here, but 1st or 2nd time frame we're going to keep an eye on, and also this week of the 8th to the 14th. If we don't have that one in the 1st or 2nd materialize into anything, or it stays offshore, or whatever it is, we have another shot here this week of the 8th to the 14th we'll keep an eye on. The precipitation as a whole for the month of December, we're expecting to be above average. This is liquid equivalent precipitation, so if you melted down all snow and ice and combine that with the rain, this is what we're talking about being above average, the liquid equivalent of that. The temperature as a whole for the month of December backed off now. We were slightly above average. Now we're near to slightly above average. We're starting to slowly but surely adjust downward with that. But I don't think we get a very cold December. It's not going to flip that to that much to that cold. So near to slightly above now. So we're going to go at about, near average it would be 0. So we're going to go 0 to maybe +1 or +1.5 for the month. Okay, so something like that as far as temperature departures from normal for the entire month of December. And then total snowfall, still keeping near to slightly above average total snowfall for the month of December as a whole. Now that's the entire month from the 1st to the 31st. So if we're sitting here on the 12th of December, we haven't got any snow yet, and you're like, oh, you guys are going to bust. Well, we have a whole month. Just relax, okay? So we're going to see how this goes, and of course adjust as necessary. One of the things we're looking at in that 8th to 14th time frame is now showing up on the models. We're starting to see some ridging out here in the west. Now this is heights. This is not precipitation. So you're looking, you can see these lines out here where you're going to have you have some ridging showing up here, and then you're showing signs of some troughing coming here in the east here. And this is at the end of the ensembles run. So, this is something we'll keep an eye on just to see what happens. It's definitely promoting the idea of colder air coming into the eastern half of the United States, and that would have been something like we had in 2002. So we'll keep an eye on that too as well. But if you want to follow this up, any updates we do for the long range and active discussions that we do are in the EPAWA forum. We're getting hot and heavy in that now. We're getting more to winter discussions and long range daily updates that are more pertaining to winter systems. So if you're not a member of the EPAWA forum and you would like to become a member, please click on the link or click on the image below this video for My Pocket Meteorologist. It'll take you to My Pocket Meteorologist page, and on that you can option to sign up for the forum or combine it with one of our text alert services at a discounted rate. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Martrich, and that is this edition of Weather Weeklies for November 22nd, 2015. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.